For thousands of years, mountains, oceans, and entire continents acted like barriers separating human civilization. But tunnels changed that. These gigantic underground passages carved through solid rock, beneath oceans, and under some of the busiest cities on Earth, completely transformed transportation, trade, and engineering itself. But the tunnels on this list didn't just go through something. They went through it on a scale that challenges everything you think you know about what underground construction is capable of. And here's the thing most people don't realize. The Channel Tunnel, one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, doesn't even make this list. At just over 31 miles long, it falls short of number 10. Every entry that follows is longer. Several of them are longer by a factor that will leave you doing the mental arithmetic twice. There's also one tunnel on this list that sits directly beneath 8 million people, is older than most living grandparents, is quietly leaking 35 million gallons every single day, and almost nobody in New York City knows it exists. And our number 1? It's the longest tunnel ever built by human hands, and it goes unnoticed every day because the liquid running through it arrives invisibly from a mountain range 85 miles away. Stay with me. The Seikan Tunnel, Japan. A 1954 typhoon killed 1,430 people crossing a stretch of water in Japan. What happened next took 34 years, cost 12 times the original budget, and produced one of the greatest engineering feats the Pacific world has ever seen. At 33.5 miles or 53.85 kilometers, the Seikan Tunnel is the longest rail tunnel in the world, with an undersea section connecting Japan's main island of Honshu with the northern island of Hokkaido beneath the Tsugaru Strait. Its lowest point sits 790 feet or 240 meters below sea level, the deepest undersea tunnel ever built. The origin of this tunnel is a tragedy. In September 1954, Typhoon Marie struck the Tsugaru Strait and sank 5 ferries. When the water settled, 1,430 people were dead. Japan had no other way across. The following year, the Japanese National Railways commissioned a feasibility study for a tunnel. Excavations began in 1964. The main construction didn't start until 1971, and the project immediately fought back. In 1976, a catastrophic flood burst through the tunnel face and nearly drowned the entire project with it. Workers developed new drilling and waterproofing techniques on the spot, methods that had never existed before and that later became industry standards worldwide. 34 workers lost their lives before the tunnel opened in March 1988. The final bill came to $7 billion, nearly 12 times the original estimate. The Seikan Tunnel was the longest railway tunnel in the world until Switzerland opened something longer in 2016. It held the record for 28 years. The deep irony is that today, it is somewhat underused. Budget airlines have made flying between Honshu and Hokkaido faster and almost as cheap as the train. A disaster built one of the world's greatest tunnels. And the same tunnel is now quietly contemplating an uncertain future. That future, though, is far from the most extraordinary thing on this list. The Gotthard Base Tunnel, Switzerland. When engineers on opposite ends of this tunnel's 2 bores finally broke through and the 2 sections met, the misalignment was less than 8 centimeters. After boring through 35 miles of alpine rock from 2 directions simultaneously, less than 8 centimeters. The Gotthard Base Tunnel is 35.5 miles or 57.1 kilometers long, running through the heart of the Swiss Alps from Erstfeld in the north to Bodio in the south. It is the world's longest and deepest railway tunnel. Its maximum depth beneath the mountain above it is 7,546 feet, or 2,300 meters. It opened on June 1, 2016, after 17 years of construction. The geological challenge was extraordinary. The rock quality inside the Gotthard Massif is wildly unpredictable. Hard crystalline sections gave way without warning to fault zones filled with loose, water-saturated material that behaved more like wet cement than solid rock. Without ventilation, the natural temperature inside the tunnel reaches 46 degrees Celsius, or 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Workers operated in a self-contained underground world. Base camps with living quarters, cafeterias, and concrete factories fed directly by the excavated rock, which was ground down and recast as tunnel lining on site. The total cost came to $12 billion. And the Swiss, in a detail that says everything about Switzerland, delivered the project on time, within budget, and with near-perfect precision. Less than 8 centimeters, after 35 miles. Think about that. Chengdu Metro Line 6, China. Most countries' most ambitious tunnel projects top out at around 30 miles. China built one that's 42 miles long as an urban metro line. Chengdu Metro Line 6 opened in 2020 and runs for 42.4 miles or 68.2 kilometers entirely underground beneath the city of Chengdu in southwestern China. It runs from Wangkong Temple in the north to Lanjiagu in the south, threading beneath one of China's largest urban centers through a geology complicated by soft soil, groundwater, and the seismic activity associated with the Sichuan Basin. To put that scale in context, Chengdu's metro tunnel is longer than the Sikan Tunnel, which Japan spent 24 years and $7 billion building beneath the open sea. China built a longer tunnel than that, through a living city, as a commuter line. Construction was on day and night. Tunnel boring machines navigated beneath existing buildings, elevated highways, and other metro lines already in service, requiring continuous ground settlement monitoring to ensure nothing above ground shifted by more than a few millimeters. The engineering tolerance on an urban tunnel of this depth and length is essentially zero. Line 6 now carries millions of passengers monthly through the underground of a city of 21 million people. Istanbul Metro Line M11, Turkey. This tunnel connects a city of 15 million people to its largest airport. It is entirely underground. It is 42.9 miles long, and it was built in 3 years. Istanbul Metro Line M11 runs 42.9 miles or 69 kilometers beneath Europe's fourth largest city, from Gayrettepe on the European side to Halkalı, passing through Istanbul Airport, one of the world's busiest. It began opening in stages from January 2023, making it one of the longest continuous metro tunnels ever built and the longest in Europe. Istanbul's geography is a tunneler's nightmare. The city straddles 2 continents and 2 tectonic plates. It sits on the North Anatolian Fault, one of the most seismically active fault systems in the world. At peak construction, thousands of workers were underground at any given moment across multiple fronts. At full capacity, Line M11 is designed to carry 800,000 passengers per day. The 37.5-mile or 37-kilometer journey from the airport to Gayrettepe now takes 35 minutes. A trip that by road in Istanbul traffic can swallow 2 hours without blinking. The tunnel doesn't just connect a city to its airport. It connects one of the world's most geographically divided cities to itself, the Bolmen Water Tunnel, Sweden. Sweden built a tunnel 51 miles long. Not for trains, not for cars, for drinking water. And it has been quietly keeping 700,000 people hydrated for nearly 40 years. The Bolmen Water Tunnel runs 51 miles or 82 kilometers from Lake Bolmen in Kronoberg County south into the Skåne region of Sweden, supplying raw fresh water to almost 700,000 people across the country's southern communities. Construction ran from 1975 to 1987. 12 years of drilling through ancient, dense Scandinavian bedrock. The tunnel has a cross-section of 8 square meters, roughly the size of a large dining room, and carries up to 6 cubic meters of water per second. Since its completion in 1987, it has operated with remarkable reliability, requiring 2 significant renovation rounds to reinforce sections vulnerable to rockfalls, and a major refurbishment in 2008 that saw portions of the Vantā River substituted as an alternative supply while repairs were made. The Bolmen Tunnel is not famous. It appears on almost no popular lists of engineering achievements. But 700,000 people in southern Sweden turn on a tap every morning because 51 miles of rock tunnel delivers the water there by gravity. Thanks to engineering greatness, the Orange Fish River Tunnel, South Africa. The eastern Cape of South Africa receives so little rainfall that large sections of it were functionally uninhabitable for farming. Engineers decided to move a river to fix it. The Orange Fish River Tunnel is 51.4 miles or 82.8 kilometers long, running beneath the semi-arid Karoo landscape of central South Africa. It is the longest continuous enclosed aqueduct in the southern hemisphere. Construction began in 1966 and was completed in 1975. 9 years of work to redirect the flow of the Orange River through the mountains and into the Fish River Valley on the other side. The problem it solved was essentially a geographic injustice. The Orange River, fed by the Lesotho highlands, carried enormous volumes of water that drained away from areas of the country that desperately needed it. The Eastern Cape, sitting in the rain shadow of the mountains, had been losing dam capacity to silt for generations. Without irrigation, the farmland there was unworkable. Without reliable water, large-scale permanent settlement was extremely difficult. The network of canals, weirs, and balancing dams fed by the tunnel has enabled the irrigation of thousands of hectares that were previously unworkable, restoring economic activity to parts of the Eastern Cape that had been in prolonged decline. The tunnel is now nearly 50 years old and still operating without major structural failure. The Dahuofang Water Tunnel, China. China built this 53-mile-long tunnel in just 2.5 years. The Dahuofang Water Tunnel is 53 miles or 85.3 kilometers long, running through the Liaoning province of northeastern China to deliver water from the Dahuofang Reservoir to 7 cities. The total cost was 5.2 billion yuan, equivalent to approximately $750 million, making it one of the most cost-efficient large-scale tunnels per kilometer ever completed. The Dahuofang Reservoir Diversion Project, of which this tunnel is the spine, is the largest reservoir diversion infrastructure project in the world. It secured the water supply of a region home to tens of millions of people and became the benchmark that subsequent Chinese water tunnel projects measured themselves against. It was not built slowly and carefully. It was built at a pace that had never been matched for a tunnel of this scale. And it has worked without significant incident ever since. Suzhou Metro Lines 3 and 11, China. The world's longest continuous metro tunnel is not in Tokyo, not in London, not in New York. It's in Suzhou, a city most people outside China have never heard of. The connected metro tunnel sections of Suzhou Metro Lines 3 and 11 together form 53.8 miles or 86.54 kilometers of continuous underground rail running through the heart of Suzhou, Jiangsu Province, making this the longest continuous metro tunnel section anywhere on Earth. Lines 3 and 11 connect at Wading Station, where through trains continue across both lines without passengers changing. The network opened in stages between 2019 and 2023, at a total construction cost of approximately 27.4 billion yuan, around $4.2 billion. Suzhou is not a small city. It has a population approaching 13 million and sits between Shanghai and Nanjing on one of China's most economically productive corridors. But it is the kind of city that is consistently overlooked in global infrastructure conversations, despite the fact that it has quietly built an urban metro tunnel longer than anything under London, Paris, New York, or Tokyo. The Suzhou Metro now carries millions of monthly riders who board a train in one part of the city and step off seamlessly on the other side. Having traveled through nearly 54 miles of underground infrastructure that the vast majority of the world's engineers have never visited, and most of its passengers barely think about, the Päijänne Water Tunnel, Finland. This tunnel took 10 years to build. It runs entirely through some of the oldest rock on Earth. The water it carries takes 9 days to complete the journey from one end to the other. And it supplies the capital of Finland. The Päijänne Water Tunnel runs 74.5 miles or 120 kilometers from Lake Päijänne in central Finland southward to the water treatment facilities serving the greater Helsinki metropolitan area, a region of 1.3 million people who depend on it as their primary source of drinking water. Construction ran from 1972 to 1982, 10 years of continuous excavation through Finland's ancient Precambrian bedrock. That bedrock matters. The Precambrian formations beneath southern Finland are among the oldest exposed rock structures on the planet, formed between 1.8 and 2.7 billion years ago. They are extraordinarily hard, among the most difficult geological conditions any tunnel project can encounter. Every meter of progress required significant drilling energy, careful blasting, and constant assessment of the rock's behavior as new fractures and fault zones were revealed. There was no predictive model that was going to get the engineers all the way through. The rock dictated pace. The result is a tunnel 120 kilometers long with a cross-section of 16 square meters, wide enough for a truck to pass through, cut entirely by human effort through some of the world's most ancient and resistant geology. The tunnel runs at depths of between 30 and 100 meters below the surface, which keeps it thermally stable year-round and protects the water from any contamination from above. Crucially, the entire system is gravity-fed. No pumps, no energy input needed once the water enters the tunnel. It flows from Lake Päijänne to Helsinki under its own pressure, across 120 kilometers of rock, arriving at the treatment plant clean, cold, and consistent. The Delaware Aqueduct, New York State, United States. Beneath the streets of New York City, deeper than most skyscrapers are tall, a tunnel is running right now. It has been running since 1944. It carries about 600 million gallons of water every single day. Half of New York City's entire water supply passes through it, and almost nobody who lives above it has any idea it exists. The Delaware Aqueduct is 85 miles or 137 kilometers long. It is the longest tunnel ever built. It runs south through the bedrock of New York State from the Rondout Reservoir in the Catskill Mountains, beneath the Hudson River, and onward to the Hillview Reservoir in Yonkers, where the water enters the distribution network that fills the taps, the hydrants, the restaurants, and the water towers of New York City. Construction began in 1937. Workers bored the tunnel through solid bedrock at depths reaching 750 meters below the surface in places, using techniques and equipment that, by the standards of the time, were at the very edge of what was known. The project continued through the Second World War with wartime labor and wartime conditions. There were efforts to make the tunnel bomb-proof and resistant to sabotage. This was a piece of critical national infrastructure being built during a global conflict. Unlike previous major infrastructure projects, workers did not live in construction camps. They commuted by car and lived in nearby towns, a small but significant shift in how large-scale American infrastructure was built and who built it. The aqueduct was put into service in 1944, when New York City Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia opened a set of emergency gates and the water began to flow. It has been flowing ever since. The aqueduct's diameter ranges from 13.5 feet or 4.1 meters to 19.5 feet or 5.9 meters. It is circular, smooth, and entirely gravity-fed. The Catskill Mountains sit at a higher elevation than New York City, and the water simply runs downhill. 85 miles of downhill through bedrock, beneath the Hudson River, and into the city's distribution system. No pumps. No external energy. Just gravity, applied consistently for over 80 years. There is, however, a problem. In the 1990s, engineers discovered that the aqueduct has been leaking, silently, invisibly into the surrounding rock, at a rate of up to 35 million gallons per day. 35 million gallons. Every day. The leaks are located in two primary sections near Newburgh and Wawarsing in the Hudson Valley, where the rock around the tunnel has shifted over the decades. New York City announced a $1 billion repair plan in 2010. A 2.5-mile bypass tunnel was excavated 600 feet beneath the Hudson River and completed in 2019, the first tunnel built under the Hudson since the Lincoln Tunnel's South Tube in 1957. In March 2023, the Delaware Aqueduct was shut down temporarily for the first time since its opening, so the bypass could be connected and the leaking sections sealed. The Delaware Aqueduct is 17 kilometers longer than the Päijänne Tunnel. It is 51 kilometers longer than the Gotthard Base Tunnel. It is nearly 3 times the length of the Channel Tunnel, which the American Society of Civil Engineers named one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. And it sits, largely unknown, 750 meters beneath the dairy farms and commuter towns of upstate New York, doing its job every minute of every day the way it has since 1944. 8 million people wake up in New York City every morning. They turn on the tap. And somewhere far beneath the streets, the longest tunnel ever built is already halfway through today's 600 million gallons. That's number 1.